Cassandra's pulse raced as she pulled into the driveway of the stately home that had once promised sanctuary and love. The evening was hushed with a damp chill that seeped into her bones, and as she stepped out of her car, a persistent unease tugged at her heart. The house, so meticulously maintained from the outside, now seemed to conceal shadows that stretched far beyond its whitewashed walls. Tonight, every step along the familiar path to the front door echoed with an inexplicable dread, as though the silence itself had come alive with the secrets of the past. Inside, the home was cloaked in the quiet comfort of routine. The polished hardwood floors, the carefully arranged decor, even the gentle ticking of the grandfather clock in the foyer seemed to whisper that nothing had changed. Cassandra called out, her voice trembling just a fraction. "Mark? I'm home." The sound died in the vast silence, unanswered and hanging like a premonition. Her heart pounded as she crossed the hall, each footfall a measured step toward an unknown fate. Drawn by an inexplicable force, she made her way to the living room, where the soft, ambient light of a table lamp bathed everything in a gentle glow. It was here that time, in a cruel twist of fate, had conspired to shatter everything she held dear. At first glance, the room appeared undisturbed, a tableau of memories and quiet evenings spent in contentment. But then her eyes caught movement in the far corner, a movement that froze her in place. There, in a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, Cassandra beheld a scene so surreal and devastating that it defied comprehension. Mark, the man with whom she had built her dreams, was entangled in the arms of her beloved sister, Lydia. The intimacy between them was unmistakable. A tender kiss, a soft caress, an embrace that spoke of passion and betrayal in equal measure. For a few long seconds, the room spun around Cassandra as she stood rooted in disbelief. Her mind struggled to reconcile the loving partner she had trusted with the reality unfolding before her eyes. In that heartbeat, the past and present collided. Memories of whispered promises, shared secrets, and quiet laughter, all the little moments that had once defined her world, turned to ash. Cassandra's eyes welled with tears as her senses reeled from the overwhelming shock. The sight was both surreal and brutally real. Mark's eyes were closed in rapture, while Lydia's delicate features betrayed no hint of guilt, only a secret satisfaction. The betrayal was not merely physical. It was an unraveling of everything that had once felt sacred. The room, once a haven of warmth and intimacy, became a stage for a heart-wrenching drama. Every piece of furniture, every cherished photo, now seemed to mock her with a memory of what had been lost. Cassandra's thoughts tumbled in a chaotic swirl, each recollection a piercing reminder of a trust that had been so utterly shattered. How could the man she loved conspire with the one person who had always been her confidant? How could her own flesh and blood be complicit in this betrayal? Overwhelmed by a surge of pain and disbelief, Cassandra backed away slowly, each step a struggle against the tidal wave of emotions that threatened to engulf her. In the dim corridor, she sought refuge in the shadows, hiding from the scene that had irreversibly altered the course of her life. As she stood in a quiet corner, she felt the full force of her heartache, a blend of sorrow, anger, and a deep, gnawing loneliness that made her question the very foundation of her existence. The hours that followed were a blur of agony and introspection. Cassandra's mind cycled through memories of happier times, each recollection now tainted by the knowledge of betrayal. The laughter that had once echoed in the halls of this home now rang hollow, replaced by the silence of broken promises. In her solitude, she allowed herself to feel every emotion, to let the tears flow freely as she tried to make sense of the impossible. The woman she had known, vibrant, trusting, and full of hope, seemed to vanish under the weight of this betrayal. Yet amid the searing pain, a quiet determination began to kindle within her. In the depths of despair, she found a small ember of defiance. Cassandra realized that the actions of others, however cruel, did not define her. The betrayal had struck at the heart of her trust, but it would not break the spirit that had weathered countless storms before. Slowly, with trembling resolve, she decided that she would reclaim her life from the ruins of this shattered illusion. In the days that followed, Cassandra embarked on a journey of painful self-discovery and gradual healing. The home that had once been her sanctuary now felt like a mausoleum of memories, a constant reminder of the betrayal that had upended her world. Every room echoed with ghostly whispers of laughter and love that once was, and every familiar corner brought a rush of bittersweet recollections. Yet, as the initial shock faded into a deeper, more contemplative sorrow, she began to see that within the ruins lay the seeds of renewal. Cassandra turned to the one solace she had always known, the written word. With a pen and a battered journal, she poured out the tumult of her heart onto blank pages. Each entry was a raw, unfiltered confession, a cathartic release of the anger, the hurt, and the confusion that had imprisoned her soul. Through these words, she began to understand that her identity was not confined to the pain inflicted by others, but was something far richer and more complex. Every tear shed on those pages was a step toward reclaiming her strength. Every written sentence a declaration of her right to heal and rebuild. Slowly, the transformation began. Cassandra started to reconnect with the world outside the confines of her heartbreak. She resumed long, solitary walks under the open sky, with a soft rustle of leaves and the gentle murmur of nature offered a stark contrast to the clamor of betrayal that had filled her home. In the solitude of nature, she found a space where she could confront her grief without judgment, where the natural cycles of growth and decay reminded her that every ending was a precursor to a new beginning. As autumn gave way to winter, and the landscape was transformed by the delicate dance of frost and light, Cassandra's inner journey deepened. The once familiar halls of her home, now stripped of their former luster, became a canvas upon which she could rewrite her own narrative. Every piece of broken furniture, every stained wall, bore silent witness to the transformative power of pain. And though the memories of that fateful day were indelibly etched in her mind, they no longer held the power to define her. Instead, they became a reminder of her resilience, a testament to the strength that lay hidden within her. Cassandra's transformation was not instantaneous. It was a gradual evolution, marked by moments of quiet triumph and painful setbacks. There were days when the sting of betrayal would surge unexpectedly, a familiar scent, a stray word, and she would be transported back to that moment of unbearable loss. But with each passing day, she learned to confront these memories with a newfound courage. She sought professional help, leaning on the guidance of a compassionate therapist who helped her untangle the web of emotions and find a path to forgiveness. Not for Mark or Lydia, but for herself. Her healing journey also opened the door to unexpected friendships. Neighbors and acquaintances who had once whispered behind closed doors now offered support and understanding. In group gatherings and quiet evenings over coffee, Cassandra found solace in shared stories of heartbreak and resilience. These interactions, though small in the grand tapestry of her life, gradually wove a new pattern of connection and hope. The very community that had once been a silent witness to her pain now became an active participant in her recovery, a reminder that she was not alone in her struggle. With time, Cassandra began to reimagine her future. The home that had once been a prison of betrayal transformed into a space of creative liberation. She redecorated each room with colors that resonated with her reborn spirit, turning sterile walls into vibrant canvases that celebrated life's beauty. Every carefully chosen piece of art and every rearranged piece of furniture was a deliberate act of defiance, a statement that she was reclaiming not just her living space, but her entire identity. The home, which had once borne the heavy burden of shattered trust, slowly evolved into a sanctuary of healing and renewal. In the midst of her personal renaissance, Cassandra found herself drawn to new passions. She enrolled in a creative writing class, rediscovering the power of storytelling as a means to process and transcend her past. In the company of strangers who shared similar scars, she discovered that art could be a lifeline, a way to transform pain into something beautiful and transformative. Her stories, raw and unflinching, began to resonate with others, and she realized that her journey was not just about healing, but also about inspiring others to find strength in their own struggles. One chilly evening, as a gentle snow began to fall outside, Cassandra attended a local literary gathering, a modest event held in a converted warehouse that hummed with the promise of new beginnings. Surrounded by fellow writers and artists, she read aloud one of her most personal pieces, a narrative of betrayal, loss, and ultimately redemption. As her voice trembled with both sorrow and newfound hope, the room fell silent, each listener absorbing the depth of her emotion. In that vulnerable moment, Cassandra understood that the act of sharing her truth was a powerful step toward reclaiming her narrative. The applause that followed was not just a celebration of her talent, but an affirmation that even the deepest wounds could give rise to breathtaking beauty. Though the scars of betrayal would remain, Cassandra realized that they were not marks of defeat, but of survival, a permanent reminder of the battles she had fought and won. The memory of that fateful day, once a source of endless torment, now fueled her determination to live fully and authentically. She learned to embrace the complexity of her emotions, understanding that joy and sorrow often danced hand in hand. In the quiet moments of introspection, she would reflect on the journey that had brought her from the depths of despair to a place of inner light and possibility. Mark and Lydia, the architects of her devastation, faded into the periphery of her memory. Their names became whispers in the background, a painful reminder of a past that had shaped her but no longer held her captive. Cassandra found solace in the thought that sometimes the most profound betrayals were the catalyst for the most significant transformations. With each passing day, she rebuilt her life piece by piece, like a mosaic crafted from shards of broken dreams and new aspirations. Her heart, though scarred, beat with a renewed rhythm, a steady, resilient pulse that carried her toward a future of possibility. In the final, lingering moments of a long winter's night, as the sky blushed with the first hints of dawn, Cassandra stood before a mirror in her newly transformed home. She looked deeply into her own eyes, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, she saw not a victim of betrayal, but a survivor. A woman who had weathered the storm and emerged stronger, wiser, and fiercely determined to claim her own destiny. The mirror reflected not just her physical form, but the tapestry of her experiences, a mosaic of sorrow and hope, loss and triumph. In that silent, intimate exchange, she made a promise to herself that she would never again allow the actions of others to define her worth, that her future would be hers to write, filled with honesty, passion, and the courage to embrace life in all its messy, beautiful complexity. And so, Cassandra's journey continued, not as a linear path to recovery, but as an ever-evolving narrative of growth and reinvention. Every sunrise brought with it a new opportunity to choose hope over despair, to find beauty in imperfection, and to celebrate the quiet, indomitable strength of the human spirit. In the soft light of morning, as the world slowly awoke, Cassandra stepped forward with unwavering resolve, ready to write the next chapter of her life. A chapter defined not by the betrayals of the past, but by the promise of a future built on her own terms.